Oh, or at the end. Okay.
Hi, my name is Jordy Izzard, and I'm an Alumni Relations Officer at SAIS, and today I am here with Myra Barron, who graduated from the SAIS Washington, D.C. class in 1961, and today's date is April 26th, 2012, and we're so happy to have some of your time today. So,
well, thanks for coming.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we're just going to have a conversation, and why don't we start with kind of what originally brought you to SAIS?
Well, I think I got interested in international relations because I went to Smith College and I spent my junior year in Geneva. And they had a graduate institute there, and I took a lot of courses, and my major was economics in college. So when I graduated, I very much wanted a big city. That was one thing that SAIS attracted me. Also, I wanted to go abroad again, and SAIS had the Bologna program. So originally I applied to go to Bologna the first year, because I was very anxious to get back to Europe. They said that was not how they did things, that you went your first year to SAIS in D.C. and then the second year you apply for Bologna. I applied there, the Fletcher School in Columbia. I chose SAIS. They were a pretty small school at the time, and they had no dorms or anything, so two girls wrote to me and said they were looking for a third roommate to live in Georgetown. And this was 1959, very exciting time in Washington, just before the election in '60. And Georgetown was really the area to live in. So it was the beginning of a whole new life for me, coming to Washington.
Terrific.
And coming to SAIS.
That's great. Well, great. Well, now bringing you to SAIS, tell us a little bit about your memories of being a student at SAIS.
Well, of course, my memories a lot is my house in Georgetown and my two roommates, because we became fast friends for, well, now 50 years probably.
Oh, that's
terrific.
We
stayed friends. And the courses, I was surprised because I had majored in economics and followed the honors program at Smith, so I had written a thesis and so on. So when I got to SAIS, they said, really, you can sort of waive out of all the economics programs and take something else. So I was decided to major in European studies. And the first year, the courses were, the school was in Florida Avenue. They had no student facilities, really, so I think there was a building next door that we all kind of brought our lunch to and sat around and got to know all your classmates, basically, from both classes. I think it was 2 years there. And my two roommates were for the second year. And let's think, I enjoyed the courses. I remember one particularly was the study of Russia, and that reminded me that when you said you were coming here, I looked up my old SAIS review, because our class, I think there were 5 of us that contributed to an edition of SAIS review. We each wrote an article on an aspect of the Russian economy. So that was a particularly memorable event for me and my first publication. So I remember that. After my first year, and it was very social, I must say that was part of it, and very international. There were some Italian students who were visitors, who were studying for a year and going back to Bologna the second year. There was, well, people from all over. A very close friend who was from India, another one from Pakistan, and I just really liked that aspect of it too. After my first year, when I was ready to go to Bologna, and I had gotten a tuition travel grant for it, I had met a young man and began to rethink whether I should go abroad the second year. So I approached the school, and they said basically I had so many credits that I didn't really need to be full-time the second year. And I had gotten a summer job through SAIS, which began at the Commerce Department but somebody from the State Department said they needed some extra help, and they had heard there were interns at the Commerce Department that could be on loan to the State Department. So I went to work for this woman, Jean Wilkowski. She became sort of my mentor at the State Department, and I loved my job, and I didn't need to take a full load of courses, so I could just take 1 or 2 courses and graduate in '61. So I decided to do that and not go to Bologna, and continue my dating relationship, which ended in marriage the month I graduated from SAIS.
Congratulations.
Yeah, so that was
great.
very
And so
memorable
those are
time.
your memories of being at SAIS. And then it sounds like so you got married right after that.
Right. I will just say one other very
absolutely.
big memory was going to the inauguration of John F. Kennedy.
Oh, tell us about that.
Because that was a very cold, winter, snowy day, but my roommate Claudia and I had tickets, and we were determined to go and stand by the bleachers. I don't think we actually sat in them, and it was near the Willard Hotel. And all we saw was the parade, but that was just a very exciting moment after his speech. And the whole mood of the city was just very exciting. And so the whole time to be in Washington, I think, was very exciting.
Absolutely, yeah. It was, yeah. So that was in '61, January of '61.
Was that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Terrific.
Right.
Good. Well, thanks for sharing that. And then tell us a little bit, I know you mentioned getting married right after you graduated. When you did graduate, tell us a little bit from a career standpoint what your trajectory was and how you sort of came from there to now.
Yeah, I had decided foreign service probably was not going to be compatible with my new lifestyle. And my husband was a law professor, and so we were...
Had you thought about foreign service before?
I had. I thought that would be my career, probably. But that seemed not to be too workable, and that was fine. I then thought about... Someone had suggested to me... I was thinking of teaching high school, and they said, why are you teaching high school? You have an economics degree. Why don't you teach... And a master's. You could teach at the college level. So I first went for a interview, first to teach at high school, but I was actually several months pregnant, and the interviewer looked at me and said, you know, how can you possibly teach? This was different times then. So I decided I'd better wait. In the meantime, I had been working at RAND doing research. Then my husband was interested in teaching, so we ended up going to North Dakota, to the University of North Dakota, to the law school. And I then, that's where I taught economics. So I think I used the SAIS background as well as my undergraduate degree in economics. And for 2 years taught economics as adjunct on the faculty there. Then we moved to New Mexico where he was teaching, and I worked for the Bureau of Economic Research at the university.
Oh, terrific.
Then we came back to Washington, and because when he became a professor at George Washington Law School. And that's when I decided maybe I should go to law school, because that would really be compatible with our lifestyle. And also with having young children. By then I had, well, I started with one by the time I graduated law school. We had 3. That was something I could do sort of part-time, and also have a career and still build on my background of economics and international relations. So I went to Georgetown Law School, and got a couple of years out when we were in Saskatchewan. My husband taught in Saskatoon for a year. So anyway, then I went back and graduated law school, I think it was 65.
Okay.
And then have been practicing law until I retired about 5 years ago.
And at a firm or in other capacities?
Several places. I think my first job I got through the newspaper, and I was at Legal Aid in Fairfax County. And that was just thrown into court. I'd had very little court experience in law school because I'd just tried to take the regular courses and not spend too much time in extra things. So that was very stressful, but we did that. I was at legal aid, and then I went to the county of Fairfax, and I really liked that. That was municipal law. After I did that, my specialty became housing, and I worked as counsel for the Department of Housing and the Housing and Redevelopment Agency in Fairfax County. Several years later, I then went to a firm that was headed by the former general counsel at HUD. And I remember someone there said, "Oh, your fields have been local and international." And I thought, well, that sort of defined my career. That was true. Nothing in between, but municipal law had become kind of my specialty. And eventually I went into employment law, and I went with another firm and worked for nonprofits. And so I really liked the nonprofit field too.
Great.
And that took me up to about 2004 when I retired.
Oh, terrific. And when you retired in 2004, have you been doing any work related to your international?
I really haven't. I really left the law, I would say. And what I have done, I've taken some courses. There are some adult education courses through a group called OLLI, which is Osher Lifelong Learning Institute, run by American University and Osher, OLLI. And I, for example, just taking a course on China, and I'm coming back to the international interests and just taking some general courses.
For fun. Yeah. That's great. Terrific. Well, great. And now looking back after your illustrious career, many things you've done, and looking at current students today at SAIS, what advice might you have for them?
I think if you're interested in a career, you really should pursue it. And but as I told my daughter and my two sons, don't forget, if you have other interests, you have a personal life, don't forget your personal life. And I think the two can be very compatible. And I'm very glad I was able to have both. And I think you shouldn't sacrifice one for the other, but to try to combine them.
That's true.
Because that really enriches your life.
Good. Well, thank you so much, and thanks for all you do for the world, and hope you're enjoying your life now.
Well, thanks for coming.
Thanks.